Welcome to True Secrets of Life show. My name is Ana Lennyr. I am a family relationship and antidepressant expert. And in today's show, we're going to debunk a few untruths about depression, as well as the connection between heartbreak, anxiety, and depression. In the first part of the show, we are going to talk about what depression is overall and how many people are mistaking depression with only one category of depressed people. In the second part of the show, we're going to talk about the link between heartbreak, anxiety, and depression, and how to make sure that you or your children never slip into any of these traps again. The reason why I call these conditions traps and not mental illness, specifically for anxiety and depression, of course, because everybody seems to deal with heartbreak in a way or another, is because they're not mental illnesses and they are traps. Nevertheless, they are like a labyrinth where anytime you want to escape, you just hit a dead end. And without the proper map, you can't get out. So what does this all mean? As I suffered from depression for 27 years of my life, and I have lost all my family to depression in a way or another, I can tell you that depression is deep mental and emotional pressure. Yes, in the definition of depression, it tells us exactly what depression is. Deep mental and emotional pressure. But it also tells us exactly how to fix it. To depressurize mental and emotional pressure, or what I call emotional wounds. Emotional wounds are a little bit more than just a simple worry, simple fear, or simple anger that everybody deals with in their life, and they know or they do not know how to handle it. Emotional wounds are just 5. And each one of them has to be fixed at a different level. So let's talk a little bit about it. First emotional wound that most people have at the deepest level is rejection. That has to do with shame and the feeling of not being good enough. This emotional wound gives a lot of times problems with sexual organs, with your fuel of life, more precisely with your level of energy, and a lot of time it is linked to cancer. The second emotional wound is the one of humiliation or embarrassment, and has a lot to do with feeling guilty deep down inside. A guilt you can't really pinpoint. It's very interesting as this emotional wound is connected to diabetes too, to pancreatic cancer, and to being overweight. The third emotional wound is the one of abandonment that has a lot to do with anger and a lot to do with blaming somebody for the abandonment. This emotional wound has to do with liver problems, gallbladder problems, all kind of hormonal problems, allergies, and also problems with weight, either too little weight or too much weight. These first 3 emotional wounds of depression are also what we call sometimes postpartum depression, because they arise immediately after a woman gives birth. Not all women suffer from postpartum depression, but if you are thinking of postpartum depression, is when you're thinking of all these three emotional wounds. And why this happens to women who have postpartum depression is because there is a child involved now. In the train of depression, which you have heard that it might be genetic, and it's actually generational, not genetic, the last one in line has to fix everything. So now practically the woman, the mother, has the opportunity of fixing these emotional wounds as they activate before her child slips into depression, sometimes at the age of 6, sometimes at the age of 12, sometimes later on in life. I want you to think of this as a train of pain. It's just exactly like a train of pain. This is what depression is. It's a generational condition most of the time. And it's just like a train. And the last one in line, the last one born, has to lift up all of the train, has to carry all of the train on his shoulders. It's exactly how people in depression feel, that the world is on their shoulders, that they have to carry things that don't belong to them. And it's true, these emotional wounds don't belong to them. They're coming from generations previous. So it's amazing sometimes how this intuition that we have when we carry pain, it's actually true in a different way. Now these three emotional wounds have to be fixed before the child that comes up suffers from it. Or if there is no child involved, the adult, the last one in line, has to fix them, because it's so easy to contaminate the other two emotional ones. The fourth one is heartbreak or betrayal. And this has to do a lot with relationships, relationship skills, and relationship mastery. Less you understand relationships at all levels, partners, children, family, friends, co-workers, more you can end up in this trap of heartbreak. And sometimes, because you didn't know how to fix the first three, you end up in this trap because you gave yourself heartbreak, because you just were unable to escape pain. But the last emotional one is one of the most important ones of all. And there is a reason for that. We call it perfectionism or injustice, and has a lot to do with resistance. I want you to think of a door that goes down into your basement. Let's imagine you have a basement and you have a door, and at that door you open it up, and then you have to take 4 steps down. Very simple, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you do not open up that door because you're afraid of what's inside the basement, what is it going to happen? A lot of bad things can be in the basement, or a lot of good things can be in the basement. You would never know if you do not open up that door. You would not know what needs to be cleaned up and what needs to be saved. And this is exactly what the wound of perfectionism, injustice, and resistance does. It keeps that door blocked. And as long as the door is blocked, you cannot go to the basement to see what needs to be thrown out, the pain that you don't need, and what you need to keep, the love and the light in your soul. It's quite simple. Without opening that door, without going through the path of non-resistance, of acknowledging that you don't know anything about the world,